Hello, everybody. It's me, Shannon LaBruyere. I'm live. I'm loving it tonight. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. We are going to explore the principles that equip you to thrive in change. We are talking about growth, and all growth requires change. If you're not changing, you are not growing. So it's a really appropriate topic to take a deep dive in, and I'm loving it. Tonight, we are going to be exploring the Thrive Principle, hashtag find the beauty. Find the beauty says this. Find the beauty says that no matter how dark the night is, there is always light. And both of those things can exist simultaneously. We don't have to pretend the bad things aren't happening. But what we need to understand when we use the principle, find the beauty, is that even though there are bad things happening, there are also good things. And it can help. It can help ease the pain of the bad things. So, we're going to explore that principle tonight. Welcome, everybody who's here. Hi, Missy. I'm so glad you're here. Philip, I'm glad you're jumping in. If this is your first time watching Sunday Night Live live, I encourage any of you give a StreamYard permission to use your Facebook profile, and it'll use your picture, and then you can interact with us in the comments, which I would love. Welcome everybody to jump in. And if this is your first time, for sure, let us know where you from, who you are, and welcome. Mary, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. So let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Thumb Roast Coffee. I can't brag on them enough. I love my Thumb Roast coffee. I drink it every morning, and I drink it at night too if I could sleep after. But I have to draw a line somewhere, so I stop before 11 o'clock. But I love Thumb Roast coffee, and if you've never tried it, this is the week. Go to thumbroastcoffee.com. Pick out your favorite roast, something that sounds good to you. I love Sanilac Sunrise. Pop it in your cart, and when you check out online, use the coupon code THRIVE, THRIVE, and you will get 15% off of your order. And I'm here to tell you, you are going to love it. And if you got people you love that also love coffee, they're going to love it if you gifted them with Thumb Roast. So lots of ways that you can pour love on the people in your life, including yourself. Thumbroastcoffee.com. Check it out. Use that coupon code to get your discount. And I promise you are going to love it. All right. We've got our Thrive Principle, Find the Beauty happening. And we've got our comments fired up. Pam's here. Pam loves Thumb Roast Coffee. She's giving it a thumbs up. Okay, let's get going here. Attitude. We're talking about attitude. When I was growing up, if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times. My mom would say to me, "Don't give me that attitude." Because I had one of these faces. Maybe some of you have one of those faces that any thought that crossed my mind, I just let that show right up on my face. And even if I wasn't being lippy, talking back to my mom, I was rolling the eyes. And come on now, do not judge me. You know you've done that. She could see it on my face. Don't give me that attitude. And I used to hate that. But here's the thing, attitude really is everything. Attitude determines your happiness level, it determines your contentment level. Because here's what I know, bad things happen to everybody. Bad things happen to me, bad things happen to you. And the difference for the people who have a positive attitude is profound. Philip says, my mom said that to me. Don't give me that attitude, right? Philip, it's not just me. And especially when we're growing up, especially when we're teenagers, I get it. But at some point as adults, We get to choose. So we're going to explore attitude because our attitude is a key component of our growth as people, our growth as individuals, our growth as leaders and influencers. So if we're talking about growth, attitude is at the core. So before we get too far into the attitude thing, I want to get a couple of things clear. And this is the case. Attitude cannot substitute for some things. I'm not here to say that if you just slap a smile on and plow through, that everything's going to be great and sunny. That's not what I'm saying. Attitude cannot substitute for competence. I don't care how cheerful my dentist is. I want to make sure that he's had some training and he knows what he's doing. Hear what I'm saying? Just because somebody has a great attitude doesn't substitute for them being competent. If you are a positive person, you will have opportunities to do a lot more than the person who has chosen a negative attitude. But if you also don't accompany that positive attitude with meaningful training, meaningful knowledge, competence, it's not going to take the place of that hard work and that discipline. The other thing that attitude cannot do is change facts. Facts are facts. Attitude can't change the facts, but what it does is it changes our approach to the facts. And I can already see some of you are rolling your eyes. I don't want to hear about attitude again. Okay, check out. I know I need a reminder from time to time. Attitude is a choice. And bad things happen to everyone, including you and including me. But was it a bad day? Or was it just a bad 5 minutes that you milked all day? You blame all of the external circumstances for your bad attitude, but did you really have to be mad about it all day? Or did you milk it? Attitude's a choice. We know people who milk it. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I've milked it. Sometimes I've milked that oversight, that offense that somebody made toward me. Sometimes I've milked the fact that I got off to a bad start and my car had a flat tire and then I spilled my coffee all over. And, I've ridden that wave. But you and I both know that that is not going to take us where we want to go. Nobody likes a bad day. Nobody likes the bad things that happen to us. But we get to choose how we respond. And that choice, my friend, is where all of your power lies. That is where all of your power lies. Kelly, who is a frequent viewer of Sunday Night Live, she can't always be with us live because she works, but she's a frequent viewer of Sunday Night Live. And she shared with me a story of how she was on her way to work and she was running late. And the guy in front of her was going 25 miles an hour in a 45. And she said for a split second, she was about to lose her mind. And then she realized, whew, I can make a choice. And she chose to let it go. She chose to give him the benefit of the doubt. She chose to change her attitude about that situation. She said she arrived at work at the same time she was going to arrive anyway. We know this is true. This is a reminder for most of us, but it is a worthy reminder. The bad thing's going to happen no matter what. The slow driver is going to get in front of us from time to time, no matter what. But how much power do you give to that stranger? Because you don't choose to guard your attitude. You give some terrible driver all the power over your life. Come on, they can't even drive. Do you want them at the wheel of your day, your week, your month? Seriously. Oh, Pastor Jerry Holland is here. He says he loves this lady's teaching. Well, I appreciate that. And he says, I choose. Yeah, Philip chooses positive. We get to choose every time. When you choose to have a positive attitude instead of a negative one, you set yourself apart from almost everyone else because very few people choose to make a bad experience a positive one. I'm going to say that again. When you choose the positive attitude, you are setting yourself apart from almost everyone else because there are very few people who choose to make bad experiences positive experiences. What makes a bad experience a positive experience? So I'm going to ask this to you. What makes a bad experience to you positive? Is it even possible? Is it reasonable to think that there's anything good that comes out of a bad experience? I know some of the most valuable lessons that I've learned have come from the bad experiences that came my way. My job was eliminated. I didn't know if I was going to be able to report in 3 months. And I had to make a choice. What kind of an attitude was I going to have? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. The second thing I want to emphasize about attitude is this. You can choose to have a positive life stance, and that is worth writing down. You can choose to have a positive life stance. What is your life stance? It's your approach to everything. It's how you decide you're going to receive the information that comes your way. It is how you decide that you're going to respond to situations that come. It's your decision of how you are going to proactively behave in any situation. Are you going to default to that positive attitude that says, let's look for the good, let's find the hope? Or are you going to choose a negative life stance, which says, it's never going to work? I'm never going to be happy. President Reagan used to tell this joke, and I'm not an orator like President Reagan, but I do love this joke. And he told the story of parents who took their twins to the psychiatrist. They said, we don't know what to do. One of our children, they were about 6-year-old boys, one of our kids, he is just the most negative kid you'd ever meet. And then the other one is so positive. We just don't even know what to do with them. And we just feel like they're so extreme. Doctor, can you help us? And he said, well, let me run a couple of tests. So he took that negative twin and he took him into a room filled with toys. And the little boy busted out crying. What's wrong? Don't you want all these toys? If I played with them, they'd all just break, said the negative little boy. So doctor checks off a couple things on his list. And then he takes that little boy with the positive attitude and he takes that twin into a room that is filled floor to ceiling with manure. And the little boy breaks into a smile and goes running over and starts digging his way through that pile. And the doctor says, wait, what are you doing? And the little boy looked up just beaming. He said, with all this manure, there's got to be a pony in there somewhere. You can choose to look for the pony. And where your focus goes, your energy flows. You'll find it. You will find what you look for. Now you've got a little catchphrase. I know there's a pony in here somewhere. What a great joke. You get to choose how you look at life. It is proven scientifically that every person is born with a tendency. Some people tend to be more positive. Some people tend to be more negative. But you get to choose. Once you are aware of your tendency, you get to choose how you show up every time. How Missy loved that story. Here's the thing about a bad experience. When you are choosing to approach it with a good attitude, does it negate the facts? No, we've already discussed. having a good attitude doesn't negate the facts that something bad happened, something negative happened, that there were negative consequences. But what it does do is we can learn from that and we can ask ourselves a few questions. So, a positive attitude takes a look at a bad experience and asks these questions. All right, even though that looked like a travesty, what went right? What went right? One of the biggest failures of my postal career was when I was in charge of getting the keynote speaker for a big event that we were having for some of our large mailers. We had a training and all kinds of great stuff to help them learn to use the mail better. And I was in charge of getting the speaker. And because I did not follow through, the speaker thought it was on a different day. And it came time for a keynote speech, and the speaker was not there. And that was because of me. That was because of me. And I had to choose my attitude in the face of that embarrassment, in the face of that failure, in the face of that bad experience. I had to choose what my attitude was going to be. And after I licked my wounds for about 15 minutes, I decided the best way to get through this is to have a positive attitude. Let's see what we can do to continue to serve our customers. And then I had to make the tough but positive choice to take a look at, okay, what went right? I did get a great guy in charge, in line to give that speech. That went right. I made sure that he had all the information that he needed. So that was good. I'd sent him some emails. What went wrong? I hadn't made sure he got them. I hadn't touched base with him just before the event to find out if he had any questions. I assumed that everything had gone well. My positive attitude maybe wasn't quite realistic there. And then I had to decide, what will I do differently? Apologies all around, right? Had to apologize, had to fess up, had to own it. And then I got myself a list and I made a little checklist for any time I was scheduling somebody to do a thing, give a speech, provide a training. And I still use that template to this day. Do you have what you need? Make sure I follow up. I learned from it and I developed a tool that's helped me. Throwing up our hands in the middle of a bad experience and saying, this will never be good. There's nothing I can learn. It's over. Well, you're right. Teddy Roosevelt said that. Tonight's the night we're going to talk about presidents. Teddy Roosevelt said that whether you think you're right, wait a minute, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. It's really true. In the midst of bad experiences and challenges, if you choose the negative stance, you will get exactly what you chose. John Maxwell says, we don't get what we want, we get what we choose. When we choose a positive stance with a positive attitude and choose to find the beauty, choose to be mature, what's the word I want to look for? I can't think of it right now. Be responsible, own the things that are happening in our life and say, all right, my positive attitude says there's something I can learn from this. My positive attitude also told me that I wasn't washed up and a loser forever because I'd made a big mistake. We get to choose that approach. We get to choose that attitude. So Missy says this, having a takeaway lesson from the negative experience makes my awareness of the slow driver in front of me. It's not their fault. The responsibility is on me to leave earlier. Ding, 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 ding. Missy, how true is that? A positive stance says I have more control. I am in charge of me. And so I get to decide, am I going to leave the house earlier so that the inevitable slow driver, back up at the traffic light, the coffee line's longer than I expected? My choices put me in my positions. And a positive attitude owns that. That's the beauty of a positive attitude. It says, all right, I know that I can have some impact here, and I believe that I can have good impact. Missy says this, She says it's worth it. She said, I hear you singing. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. I thank Corrine for that. My friend, my training partner from way back in the day in the Postal Service, taught me that little ditty, and I love it. Learning from the experience, Missy said, and reflecting how to do better next time ensures I won't keep getting the same result. So thankful for this teaching then and now. Well, Missy, I am glad you appreciate it, and I'm glad you've embraced it. Some of us have grown up, have come up in a home life, or maybe in our relationships, the people that we loved and cared about, they may have emphasized bad attitudes toward us. They may have emphasized our powerlessness. It's a myth, but some people are very invested in you remaining powerless. Maybe they're trying to protect you from making a decision that ultimately doesn't go the way you want. Maybe they don't want you to be hurt. It's not always because of a bad motive. But I want you to understand that when we're talking about growth, you leaning into your ability to choose that positive attitude makes you immensely powerful, immensely powerful. And where your focus goes, your energy flows. Where your eye is fixed is where your body follows. What you look at, what you look for, is what you see and what you find. When I got my new car in 2013, it was a Chevrolet Malibu, and it's still a Chevrolet Malibu. It just isn't new anymore. It's got about 200,000 miles on it, but I loved that car. And what I loved most about it was the color. It was this beautiful creamy white, and it had kind of like a pearlescence to it. They actually called it pearl, I think. I didn't know that many people had chosen my beautiful color of Malibu until I had one. That beautiful color was in my awareness, and now all of a sudden I started seeing it everywhere. What you're going to find when you start choosing your attitude, choosing a positive attitude, is that you see more positive things happening. And opportunities are positive things. As you grow, as you embrace your power to choose your attitude, you are going to find more and more opportunities coming your way, because a positive attitude is more appealing than a negative one. There's a lot of emphasis on work culture right now. And bosses and leaders and companies are spending time and money looking at the makeup of their employee group and saying, okay, what's going on here? Are people unhappy? Why? What can we do? What's happening? Why are people so crabby? Why are they miserable? When you're the bright light, when you're the positive attitude in the midst of a bunch of negativity, you stand out. You're a difference maker. You're a difference maker. You may never convince the person next to you that the glass is half full. You may never convince them to look for the pony. But I want you to know that when you approach life knowing, believing that there is good, even in the midst of the bad experience, even in the midst of the negative, when you have that positive life stance, you are going to find more positive things happen. It's just that simple. You can take responsibility for your attitude. You can take responsibility for your actions. You can take responsibility for everything you do. Like leaving too late and getting stuck behind a slow driver, right, Missy? Whose fault is that? The slow driver? He didn't know that his car was going to lose power and that he'd have to turn his blinkers on, right? They didn't plan that. We get to choose. I love this quote from John Maxwell. He says this: unhappiness is not knowing what you want and killing yourself to get it. A bad attitude costs us. A bad attitude doesn't know what it wants. The only thing a bad attitude wants is an excuse to have a bad attitude. When you're leaning into that positive attitude, you are going to find that you get the positivity you give out. And that's not just me saying that. This is a biblical principle. You've heard this. We reap what we sow. When you sow a positive attitude, you will reap good fruit. End of story. And as for that pony, I'm going to remind you of another biblical truth that is so powerful. All things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. You are called of God for a purpose. You wouldn't be here if you were not. Those are the people that listen to Sunday Night Live. People with purpose, people with value, a life that's designed to impact more than just themselves. That's who you are. And so I know all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. There, my friend, is your reason to have a positive attitude, because all things will work together for your good. They may not be pleasant at the time. Absolutely, there are difficulties, but there is also good, and you will see it when you look for it. Simple as that. Simple as that. Pam's loving that John Maxwell quote. Oh, it's so good. I'm going to say it again. He says this: unhappiness is not knowing what you want and killing yourself to get it. What do you want? Do you want positive things? Do you want good things? Do you want good for the people around you? Good for yourself? You get to choose. You can choose today to take a positive life stance, have an attitude that says, I believe this can be better. I believe there's hope for me and for others. I believe that even though this circumstance looks tough, I believe that there can be something good in it. When you do that, you will find it. Oh, I love that you're here listening to me talk about attitude. That says something about you. It says great things about you. And I just want you to know that having a little dip is normal. It's okay. But when you feel yourself down there in the dip, also know that you have the ability to choose to get out. You have the ability to choose to take a positive stance toward anything that's happening in your life. Again, I'm not telling you to put Band-Aids on deep wounds. Those things need to heal. I'm not telling you to pretend everything's great when it's not. But even the things that are hard, when we have an attitude that says, I believe that even this can bring something good about in my life, it will not be a wasted experience. With that, I pray you have a fantastic week, that your opportunities to display a good attitude are many. That is a blessing, you guys. That wasn't a curse. I really do. And I know that as you continue to practice choosing the good attitude when you have the opportunity, you are going to reap such great reward from it. Mary says this: we are listening to you. Thank you for teaching us. Mary, it is my pleasure and my delight. Thank you for being here and letting me. And Philip, I'm glad that it is an awesome word to you. It will do great things in each of our lives when we embrace these true principles that are rooted in the truth of God's word and his promises to us. With that, I wish you all a great week. I cannot wait to see you pop up on my Facebook feed in the Thrive and Change page. And by all means, share this video with somebody that you know would appreciate it and could benefit from it, because truth is, how do I want to say it? It expands when we share it. Like the more we share truth, the more truth gets shared. Lisa, I'm glad you're here. Lisa, Lisa, let me just say, you have been a shining light of good attitude in the face of terrible challenges. The storms here in Michigan have just caused you a lot of grief, I know, with losing your electricity. And we had two storms back to back, Lisa, that just have really taken a toll on you. So I appreciate your good attitude and know I'm praying for you. And I'm really glad that they're going to be getting that electricity back on for you. But oh my gosh, it's hard. It's hard. So the fact that you're driving is not.